Like it was.
I did. It slowed
Right?
down.
It's oh, there it goes. It's speeding up again. It hurt us.
I love that
It's trying to
because it.
sneak past us.
Oh, look at that! Now it's wow.
It's rushing forward.
You know, we are working on the time dilation in the hopes to master the time travel. I'm also looking. I'm a little worried because in chat, I'm not saying, folks. You know, as you may have heard, I'm currently in Las Vegas. I'm pitching my idea to some folks on the strip here. Gravies, gravies, gravies. And so far, the response has been gangbusters.
Sure.
But I do worry.
Who wouldn't be interested in a full-service gravy bar?
Honestly, all you can gravy, please.
It's me. I'm not interested.
I'm looking into the audience and I am not seeing all the fresh and lovely faces as per the usual, so I worry that they may be trapped in another dimension.
YouTube said video unavailable.
Well.
Let me go take a look.
Oh, there's some hellos.
I'm seeing some, yeah, but I'm gonna.
Universe.
Yeah. YouTube, are you there? YouTube friends?
Yeah, it looks like it's back.
Okay, great. Yep, I see you. Our apologies. Oh, the music is just...
Right? It's a little relentless.
Yeah, it is a little relentless. Why don't we do this? Instead of just joking around about my gravy business, let's talk to these two gentlemen. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hello. Doing well, thanks, on this, in my neck of the woods, this snowy February day and this lovely summer evening where Alex is.
And here as well in Vegas, yeah. Yeah, so it's a wild weather scenario no matter where you're at on the globe. But what is exciting is the Mumamo goes on. Like through rain or sleet or whatever the heck happens, volcanic eruption, we will bring you, M&M goodness every single week. Because we are Mutants Masterminds Monday. And of course, we talk about the world's only superhero TTRPG ever created. It's weird. I don't know why. People,
hero system,
right?
What was that?
A curious thing.
Yeah, it's very curious.
Hero system.
Yeah, exactly. But today we're talking about a really important topic, one that's important to us and important to the future and important to your table, which is how do you get new players integrated, seamlessly and painlessly, or at least unintentionally painlessly.
Yes.
Because you may want to inflict some pain as part of the experience.
Don't do
if
that.
If everyone's just so agreed, then off you go. But yeah. So thinking about this from a practical standpoint, why is it important to even take a spin through this concept?
Because this is just a personal thing for me with
Yeah.
Mutants and Masterminds. So
Yes.
it is, and I understand where people are coming from, but one of the greatest challenges that Mutants and Masterminds faces that you, our dedicated fans and players, can help us out with is the prevailing notion that Mutants and Masterminds is complicated. There is just a general sort of idea out in TTRPG fandom that M&M is a complicated game, and therefore some people get kind of gun shy about it, whether it's playing it or running it or the like. And we want to encourage folks to understand that a lot of the complexity in terms of M&M comes into all of the range of options that you have in terms of creating your character, but the fact that you don't have to use all of that complexity in order to create a character, nor do you have to use all of that complexity as part of actually playing the game.
Right.
And so, in my experience, M&M plays certainly no more complicated than D&D at the table. In some cases, even a little easier because you're not rolling and adding up, 12 8-sided dice, for example,
Yeah,
at any
exactly.
given
Well,
time.
Steve, this is interesting that you bring it up. I think that we have the three of us have worked together for so many years that there's a kind of a second or third sense that we get when it comes to these kinds of conversations. I
Hmm.
have written here a note that says the myth of complexity, because
Hmm.
it's so often I feel like there is people sub in options for a rigorous have to do this stuff when it's really kind of a deeper piece that you can dig into as much as you prefer and love,
Right.
but it's really accessible at its start point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like to think so anyway, but obviously, I designed the thing, so my bias is,
Yeah,
I,
right.
I hope I would understand it. My concern is sometimes I'm just like, am I not explaining this well?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Alex, what's your take on this as somebody who's been kind of up to your eyeballs in M for decades? What's your take?
Yeah, that's the hard part, isn't it? Where we're so ingrained in how it works that
Hmm.
we just know. And I think that applies to a lot of our audience members here as well.
Right.
But I think it is a case of looking at the whole thing instead of looking at what you need to start playing and then building off of that skill set. Um, you don't start being a chef by making a filet mignon. You start by boiling water
Right.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
learning those basics and getting all that out first. I think that's the key.
Hmm.
And yeah,
And
it's
Oh,
not
that's
so,
nearly as complicated as it looks.
given that, I will say that if you're looking to introduce new people to Eminem, a good place to start is to skip over character creation, and give them pre-generated characters, which is the sort of ideal situation for a convention or a demo game, um,
yeah,
where you can just say this is what this character is and what they can do, um, or make use of some of the tools that we have provided, in both and we're going to talk about both the basic Heroes Handbook and the deluxe Heroes Handbook, that streamline or simplify the character creation process so that it's not quite so overwhelming for folks. As
yeah. Uh,
those.
Yeah, I
I
do
want to
that for
bring. Oh, go
convention
ahead. Sorry.
games, and I do that for convention games, and I even did that for the first time that I introduced my friends to playing the game for on an ongoing basis.
Hmm.
We talked about what characters they wanted to play, and then I did all the building part, and then just let them have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think let's get the chat in on this. Sorry that I've got my my chat introductions and all that stuff, but learning the interface over a phone, no less, is a little tricky.
Yeah.
But I want
Little screen real estate to work with.
That's exactly right. And but I do want to say hello to everybody. And we've got all kinds of folks. Yeah, good deal. We've got Ravens here. We've got Bob Schuch. Am I saying that right? I know I'm not. Is it Bob Schuch? Probably not. Anyway, Devious is here, of course. Good to see you folks. And I'm looking at the discussion. I love this. Looking at. Sorry, I got to swing on down to get to that back to that chat. The Zataran says, they've got to read the book end to end and create their first character without assistance and without because that's the way I did it. And I mean, I
Right.
know that that's tongue in cheek, but I think there is sort of
Both
something to be.
ways.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And I think that there's something to be said, or even sort of at least interrogated, how we present both us as sort of me as someone who is like often sharing the news about new stuff, you as developers as you're talking to folks, and then current community community leaders and how they present it, because I do think that we can kind of forget what it means to start, and
Hmm.
sometimes we don't spend enough time really opening that up.
Yeah, indeed. And some of it is because other RPGs tend to compartmentalize their complexity. If you're a fighter in D&D, the amount of game mechanics that you need to read over is certainly a lot smaller than if you're a wizard. um, and you need to read over, at least all of the spells of the levels that you can cast,
Right.
and there's that, hundreds of pages of spells descriptions to read through.
Right.
Um, I mean, so there's a certain, and fortunately, Eminem also offers that sort of range of simplicity. If you're just going to play a character who's super strong and bulletproof, there's not a whole lot you need to know in
Right.
terms of the game mechanics versus a character who has vast cosmic power and can do whatever they imagine at any given time.
Yeah,
I think
love that.
I think other games compartmentalizing. I think we tend to front load the complexity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And once you get through that, then the gameplay is so easy. It's so simple.
Yeah, and so
Because
now
our characters aren't designed to be. We're not designed to give you new things every level like
Right.
other games. It's everything that you can do at the start.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
understanding that.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Let's sort of speaking. Let's imagine that as soon as I'm done talking, we're doing a 60-second. Hey, new dummy, play our game. And how would we? What are the important things? And I share this because I think it's important for people in our community to kind of hear what that pitch might be.
Alex,
my version of that pitch is come play a game with me.
Honestly, no. I mean, that is one of the most effective ways to get people to dive in, and that is to just dive in and have some fun, create the opportunities for that play, and then just do it. Yeah.
I like having a space at the booth where we can run a quick combat scene with pre-gen characters. I love that conversation. For me is look how fun this is to play, and then rolling dice instead of selling it with just my mouth, because I have a hard time selling lots of things with just my mouth.
I like David Bullock's play our game or get a shin kick. That's that's usually my approach to things, and it seems effective. Sometimes.
I mean, the elevator pitch I usually give players at a game table for a convention or a demo is to start off asking who's played D&D before, and basically saying, okay, if you've played D&D, you know 90% of how to play Mutants and Masterminds. Because the core mechanic is the same. It's just a D20 roll. You add a number to it, you compare it to another number, and that tells you whether you succeeded or failed. That's the core simple rule for pretty much everything. And the nice thing about M&M is that it uses it for pretty much everything. So there's not a whole lot of other things you need to keep track of apart from sort of the permutations of that concept.
Right. And the negotiations and the
once you know that and how hero points work, you're 90% of the way there.
And it seems to me that most of the deal making and deal breaking happens with the GM. Like that's where you really get into. Yeah.
Paul brings up the comic pages in Basic Source Handbook that we used as examples, which I really love, and was a brilliant thing that Crystal did in that book. We did a similar thing in the second edition Quick Start rules, where we had a couple of comic book pages showing some stuff, and it's just a natural sort of example setup for a superhero game.
Yeah, it really is. So hey, chat, while we're talking about this, I know that many of you, whether it's your friends and family, or many of you run games with your family on the regular basis, talk to us share some of the tactics or tips and tricks that you've used to onboard people. And whether that's like even talking about a full-blown a sort of process of onboarding people, or a way that you positioned the content so that it was easier for someone who hasn't wrapped their mind around, the superhero genre, or how it might play out in Mutants Masterminds. Like, how did you bring them on? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
I think that's my most important thing. Is I always like to get people genre first before I get into the rules. Like, I want to know that they like superheroes. I want to say that this is a game that will let you live out a superhero fantasy and what that means to me. And this game rewards you for doing the heroic thing or adhering to the genre. Or I love talking about hero points because they're the best.
Right.
Honestly, I feel like the hero points as a concept are one of the most powerful ways to really get the point of Mutants and Masterminds across. Like, it is it's an opportunity for you to play the role and do the thing and make sacrifices within this within this sort of understood context. It's really brilliant. It was super fun. Let me see here. Basic Heroes Handbook. Yes. Good to see you, Claude. Let's see. And thank you for checking the chat. Every time I scroll and look at it, it like something covers it up, and I can't. Yeah, it jumps, and Anyway, I know Arachne and Solar Ray had backgrounds posted in the GR page. Did the other two ever get backgrounds or origins?
Not that I recall. I would have to honestly dig back through the archives and see. Not that I remember.
One of the projects that I keep thinking about is for us to go through and I don't know if we put a bounty out and say heroes without names or backgrounds, and just sort of build that
A catalog
library
from all of our art. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we just did that for Time Traveler's Codex with the Chrono Crisis. That was what that whole adventure was meant to be.
Yeah.
So I want to, Claude, would you elaborate for me? Claude says, a Heroes Handbook options given. No, that's not Claude. This is Claude. Given over a messaging app. Do you mean like over? Do you mean to people actively while they're playing, or do you mean to the world at large via Twitter or something, or X or whatever?
Yeah.
Curious to see what that's.
Indeed. And speaking of that, while Claude is elaborating, the character creation options in Basic Heroes Handbook and the Quick Start Character Creator in Deluxe Heroes Handbook are really great resources for onboarding new players in a way that is a little more interactive than the static archetypes. Because the archetypes are basically fixed. They're just like, here, everything has been done for you. And I've discovered over time that some players find that a bit of a turnoff. And so the archetypes as they're presented in Basic Heroes Handbook, or the tables that are presented in the Quick Start Character Generator, give you a whole series of choices about that archetype. In Quick Start, you can either do random rolls, or you can just pick the ones you want. That's another sort of secret function of the Quick Start Character Generator, is you don't have to roll. You can just pick the option you want, because the math all adds up the same. So you don't have to. You're not stuck with what you roll.
Hey,
as far as that goes.
Our old friend David Bodie says, I try to spend more time in the beginning describing the world and describing the world to give context of the heroes and ask the players what kind of characters they would like to play. And they can give a comic book character as a good example. Yeah, I like that a lot. Hey, Dominic, good to see you, friend. Glad you're here. Tempo, I see you as well. Insomniac Spider-Man tutorial level and taking down Wilson Fisk has encapsulated everything. Okay, interesting. I'm not familiar with that.
Sort of the cold open approach to an adventure, where you start a small adventure that is like a sample of everything that you'll do in an M&M game, and
like a slice of game. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I like the start of Indiana Jones.
If you if you want to do a sort of tutorial level for your gameplay, I still think the very best option for that is a Doom Room training scenario.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
Start the characters off, like your team, either you're a team of heroes or you're a group of students or whatever, and you're basically in this training simulator. Here's a scenario where we're going to present a bunch of bad guys, and it's going to be an environment, and we're going to have a fight, and we're going to throw in some interesting other bits to keep it interesting. But the best part is it's super low stakes, and none of this matters.
Right. Exactly.
So the players can really loosen up, try things out, and not worry about the outcome, that they're going to mess something up.
With all the intensity of real explosions or things that are going on, but none of the actual, fallouts. Like, you're not killed.
None of the consequences.
None of the consequences.
I like that. Now, Claude, you mentioned I will fall on my sword and create Earth Prime lore for those arts. Let me know what that means. I don't know what it is, and I would love that to happen.
That Claude is volunteering to do that.
I see. I get it.
To make that sacrifice for the benefit of the community.
Yeah, and David Bodie, I hear what you're saying as far as that dealing with the content of the game instead of the system, because I think that we can I think that we can overproduce that,
Mhm.
and kind of, it's sort of an overwrought complexity, which finds us, people going, oh, I don't know, that seems kind of, I've heard that was kind of difficult, or you need to know a lot of math or something,
Yep.
which is just wild. Yeah.
Well, another really good thing to try out with new players in gameplay is to simply go with the "tell me what you want to do" approach
Mm-hmm.
to things, and then walk them through it. So when it's like, okay, we've done roll for initiative, and now it's your turn. What do you want to do? Just tell me what your character does, and then I will say, okay, from the sound of that, that breaks down this way. This is your move
Wow.
action, and this is your standard action. The other thing you wanted to do sounds a little too ambitious for just a standard action. So how about we approach it this way, and just get them, into the notion of thinking in terms of actions, and how those things break down and what they can do on their turn. Um,
Right. We've got an elaborated Claude, where basically just talking about walking through those steps of character creation, or, that
mhm.
piece over Messenger. I could see what you were just mentioning kind of almost be that same experience. If you, kind of getting onboarding an individual and sort of letting them see the anatomy of a, engagement is, I think, probably a pretty effective way to get to allow the singular individual to connect to the context of what a turn is and how that all works.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah, Claude, that's right. Yeah, exactly what Steve's saying is so cool. I love that. So no shin kicks. I mean, you could do some shin kicks if you like. I don't know how I don't know how robust your table will be, but
Yeah.
make some new friends.
Yeah.
Uh,
And in addition, Paul mentions "tell me what you want to do" is essential. The other one I really like is "tell me what happens,"
yes,
which is basically I'm going to say that you failed at this, for example, but tell me, how did your character fail?
yeah,
What happens as a result of that failure? Or for that matter, if your character takes out a minion, especially, I'm always like, well, how do like, yeah, you definitely take the minion out, but like, tell me about it. How does your character take the minion out? And give the player a chance to show off a little or get, descriptive.
absolutely. Now, I will say that it is, maybe not for me personally, but for many people, most people, describing how things have gone or what you've done or how it was done, that kind of a thing is not necessarily second nature. But
Hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I just didn't put those pieces together, and Alex said, "So now tell me what happens." And I'm like, "Wait, what? I won, and I get to tell you how I did it?" Like it just sort of shocked me, and I was, and it's not like a incredibly fascinating concept. I'm certainly one that's used to talking about myself. So, building that capacity in all folks to kind of get a sense of, especially in that environment where, people are constantly worried. Am I talking too much? Am I engaging
Hmm.
more? Is my character hogging the spotlight and
Hmm.
all of that stuff? Giving people an opportunity, maybe even before the first go, to play around in that space and feel comfortable.
Yeah, Troy.
Yeah.
The secret is the more that you have to tell me what happens, the less work I have to do.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. And
One less decision I have to make that day.
I love that the collaborative nature of it. I also love that it really forces it really cements the fact that this isn't just the GM putting you through paces. Like you are a
Hmm.
participant in this process, and you got to be to really get the full experience. And I think sometimes that
Yes.
might be the harder thing, the more complex thing to get across to new folks.
Yeah, I agree. No, Raven Fox Audio brings up that the whole "tell me what you want to do" approach could be challenging for a new or inexperienced game master.
Right. Yeah.
And that is definitely a consideration. Part of what we're talking about here kind of assumes, because we're talking about introducing new players, we're kind
Mhm.
of assuming some amount of experience on the GM's part. If you are a new or inexperienced GM, and we have whole episodes about this, and we will probably be doing more
Yeah.
down the road.
Absolutely.
Um, but the key things to think about are to be willing to take your time, and feel your way through it,
Mhm.
because sometimes you're not going to know the rules off the top of your head, and you may even want to, during those training scenarios with the players, be like, let's look up the rule together, and we're going to all figure out how this works.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. To build on that, I also find an easier version of tell me what you want to do is it sounds like you're trying to do this.
Right.
So
The
that you give
Crippy
the player a
approach.
chance to clarify one specific thing instead of unveiling every possibility to them.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I do like. Sorry, Steve.
Well, I was going to say, and just as a new game master, don't sweat it. It's a game. It's supposed to be fun. The players are there to learn with you. So you will pick it up as you go, and the worst case scenario, you can do what every game master in the history of gaming has ever done, which is roll a die for me. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It hit the ground. Sure. Yes. That happened.
You can fall back on Eminem's core rule, which is roll a die, add an ability, decide what the difficulty is, and you either succeed or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking at some of the commentary here in chat, and I do think that we should revisit the kind of new GM thing, but part of that as well is you kind of start with here's what these GMs are doing to kind of make this happen. And I honestly, again, and we say this really every time we talk about how do you prep a player, how do you prep the relationship between the player and GM, and that is session 0, and to really establish here is our expectation of engagement. I'm going to ask you to engage. I'm going to say some stuff, and then sometimes I'm going to get something wrong, and then we'll talk about it. Or sometimes I'll get something wrong, and I will be right. Like it's just one of those situations where you just kind of have to share that stuff so that you're not, when you come across it, when it actually happens in a live game, you're not like, I don't know what to do here. I'm terrified, or, people are mad or whatever.
Yeah. And you could also, as a game master who's learning the system, you can run solo play stuff for yourself, where you take a bunch of characters and you just play out the scenario, roll the dice, look at the rules, and say, like, I'm going to play out this combat, and just roll the dice for everybody, do all of the actions for all of the characters, and then you have all the time in the world to look at the rules and be like, okay, then here I need to do this, and walk yourself through the steps. And then, so when you're playing with a group of live players, you have at least a sense of where everything is.
Well, and you have the matrix or the framework for when these circumstantial situations come up. And I think that from my experience, just in life, there's one of like 3 to maybe 4 unique things that can happen. But if you kind of master that piece of it and you understand how the matrix works, then you're able to go, oh, I see. Okay. Or work around those things to get the greater good is that the game goes on and people have fun. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no shame in having a flow chart or something behind the screen.
No.
To walk you through
GM
how
screens
to do
are
your
for.
decisions.
I was just going to say, arguably, the purpose. Yeah, I like that. I want to mention something that Apuk mentioned here. I think it's interesting and important, and it's way up here. And it's I like basically it's tell me what happened on the page of the comic. That's really great because then it becomes a visual exercise, a discussion about what people see and all that. I really like that a lot.
That's another good new GM tool if you don't want to give them the unlimited possibilities, or you're trying to clue the player that this is a visual description, not a rules description.
Right. Yes, exactly. Right. Okay. And that's important. Hey, Newtsy. I like that name, Newtsy. Welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. And, you might be just a little bit late, but you're right on time. I'm glad you made it.
Well, that's just how Newt is, right? He's PL7. Right. He's doing his best.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Is Newt the one with the tongue?
Newt does not have a tongue. Newt has a grappling hook that he calls his tongue.
That's it. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
He's got sticky gloves.
Nice. I love it. Let's see. RC says my GM screen just hides my many snacks.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, I think the other thing when you're first introducing people to M&M is that you want to be the energy that you want to get back. You want to be
Yes.
inviting. You want to be fun. You want to be engaged. You want to be that person who is making the game seem like this is why the game is fun. Don't worry about the rules. Don't worry about any of that stuff. This is what you're here for.
Right, I got you. Yeah, I like that. Christopher Curtin says, I was just talking about this the other day. Really important topic given how steep character creation can be for brand new players. Having someone to get you over that initial hill is also helpful. Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
Yeah. I do like the notion. Jonesy mentions the notion of a player-friendly cheat sheet, and what would we put on that? Like, what kind of things would there exist on that?
Well, you can just look at the reference cards that come in the Game Master's kit for examples of useful cheat sheets that go on the game table. One example is a list of all the common actions with very short descriptions of what they are. Is a great reference for players, especially when they're doing that. So, what do you do? Question. They can just look at the list and go, "I want to do this," and pick one.
I like that.
As far as that goes, that's one great reference. Another is a list of the common conditions or the condition cards that
Those
we
are
have
perfect.
as a
Yeah.
great reference to know what this condition means for my character and all of that.
Yeah.
What hero points are used for, what extra effort's good for.
Yeah, and I wonder too. There. Of course, we've got the notion of a session zero, which is sort of the negotiating and looking to the future and how things will unfold as around the table socially, that kind of thing. I do wonder if people should spend a time doing one or maybe even two, because I find it's the third time of doing a new thing is when I'm going, I get it. All the pieces are kind of clicking, but doing just some kind of quick. I mean, after the GM mastering sort of your solo run a team through a thing, kind of and how that plays out, do that with some of the people who will be around your table or all of them, just to get them on board.
Yep.
I like
Indeed.
that. Yeah.
Indeed. Just like and Temp asked about danger rooms. That is, like we said, a great training feature. It's become a pretty common trope in the comics since the X-Men. Lots of superhero teams have training rooms of one kind or another, or spaces where they practice. So you can definitely play around with that. Having short, sort of low stakes intros to some adventures are great lead-ins. Of having the heroes deal with a minor crisis right off the bat. Of you starting the adventure with you're stopping a bank robbery, or starting the adventure with you're saving people from a building fire.
Right. Yeah.
That is not like you're fighting a super powerful villain, but it's action. It's something that gets the characters engaged, but it's something that superhero level characters aren't going to have a lot of difficulty with. So it encourages the players to get into the action and to get rolling dice and feeling a feel for the flow of the game.
Absolutely. I love the concept of a warm up engagement, something kind of to get people into because maybe there's some tonal things with the adventure that you're running, like maybe it's a little darker or maybe it's a little goofier or maybe but to kind of run something that gets everybody's palate kind of aligned to what you're hoping to run. I think that's a brilliant idea. I love that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan also of, for your first M&M game, maybe run something short so that everybody has a chance to decide if they like it before you invest a lot of time in world building and campaign writing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice. And also, I'm sorry, I just want to acknowledge that everyone was letting me know that it's Bob's show, like as in Bob Show. But I still might accidentally say Bob Show because that's my French accent, if you want to believe it. But anyway, yeah. No, I love that. And I think too that there is a really great opportunity to at the end of that process ask some questions and say, now I was trying to convey this or trying to convey that, and did you get a sense of that, and did you get some of that live feedback? I think one of the things too, oftentimes a GM is running a table, and there is almost this expectation of, in this rarefied air, we will not question the GM, and they were working, from behind a screen of arcane arts and all this stuff. And really, Mutants and Masterminds depends on that storytelling collaborative thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Let's see. Bob Show says, my first M&M game was stopping some giant Hulk-like creature who was already rampaging. Yeah, that's great.
Giant monster attacks city is a great lead-in for an adventure.
Yeah, I dig that. And also a fun way to introduce a new kaiju, for folks to contend with. Let's see, David, what he says, I always like the phase character creation of the Fate RPG system. The players describe themselves in one phase. Yeah, okay, interesting. I like that.
Yep.
I do like doing character creation during session 0 with everybody present.
Yeah, I agree.
So that we can have those discussions.
Yeah, and then also it takes care of a lot of you are supposed to know each other for some time.
Right.
If that's it. Yeah.
That's a key thing to establish in your session 0 is, do the characters already know each other? Are they already a team? And sometimes especially if you're just doing a demo game, that's the best approach to take because you don't want to go into the whole process of the characters being introduced. But if you're planning a campaign, you may want the first couple of adventures to be about the characters meeting and getting to know each other and deciding to become a team, rather than just starting with the assumption that they are one.
Right, I love that. I tried to run a one shot a while back. It became an ongoing stream. It sounds like you got a case of that, Alex.
that I tried to run M&M once, and it became my job.
I love it. Yeah, so beware. You might find, you are up to your eyeballs in M&M. I wanted to let's see how much time we have. Oh, great, we're good. I wonder if, and tell me if this is too heady or nerdy or whatever, or too Troy-y, but I would love to, for our Mutants and Masterminds leaders in the community, I would love to see a kind of a flow for the introduction of a new player into the space, not just like a new adventure in general, and to kind of see what those steps are that they take, or maybe it's even in a perfect world, because we know that we, best laid plans and things go kind of wonky, but in the perfect world, what would that flow look like? And I'd love to kind of see what people do, even if it's very similar, seeing how different people may approach aspects of it, I think would be really educational.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see people's sort of checklists for the way they would introduce new players to the game.
Yeah, so
while
do that,
they're
friends.
spinning that up, Steve, I need to tell you about the Banana Queen.
The Banana Queen. Tell me more.
Centuria became the Banana Queen 2 weeks ago during our stream.
And how did that happen?
They fought Doc Simeon in a shopping mall and his banana minions, who were done up in banana costumes from the Banana Republic, and they had mind control chips in their banana costumes.
Of course.
And these 4 regular minions managed to strap down Centuria and put it on her. She rolled a 1 on her will save, so she became the Banana Queen.
Wow. So is that canon now? I mean, that's,
Well, I mean, Alex can make it canon if he wants to.
That's true. Hey, I want to clarify real quick. The flow, friends, what I'd love for you to do is head over to atomicthinktank.com and jump into the Mutants and Masterminds section of the Atomic Think Tank, and let's write the piece up as an article and submit that to the. We want that to go into the library, and share with us your flow and how you kind of do some stuff, and then we'll randomly pick someone from the folks who have submitted. Sorry, I'm laughing. Someone's doing something in front of my face. I'm here with my family, and so my brother, of course, got some candy, and I ate it, and so I'm in trouble.
Naturally.
Yeah, naturally. But we'd love to see that written up and posted to the library. And then when you will draw something, and you will get to pick your whatever you would like. out of the Green Ronin online store and get a PDF of your choosing. So do that for me, won't you, friend? Yeah.
David
All
Bowie
hail the banana
thought it was
queen.
going to be a coup, but they decided that wasn't very appealing.
Oh,
Boo.
Alex.
Can't believe you slipped that in there. Jeez.
Okay, so the chat has all kinds of interesting points I want to touch on.
Yes, yes.
In addition to all of the talk about bananas, which I'm sure is going to take over shortly.
Yeah.
So Jonesy points out describing M&M things in comic book terms. When a player says something like, "How long does it take my character to get there?" You can just say one panel. The cut from one panel to another. That's how long it takes.
I think that's great. Yeah,
or describe things and how it would look in a comic book is a great way to get people into the feel of it. Also to use just sort of styles from like animated series or comic book movies, things like that.
And what a great way to express the brevity without saying keep it short.
Right. The same thing with when you're talking about when players get really elaborate with what they want to do. Say, no, I need the thing that your character can do in one comic book panel.
Right. That's right. Yeah. I like that as almost a secondhand, or like as a sort of shorthand, rather a shorthand way of saying, hey, as around the table, why don't we talk about ways that we express the need to be quick without necessarily breaking immersion, or because sometimes people will run away and they're like, surprise crush on the other player's character turns into more than 4 or 5 panels of stuff, and there's really barely a panel to devote to that. I love that idea.
So RC points out that a great thing to include in your early demo adventures or when you're teaching people the game is to vary up your scenes to have different mechanics in them. If your demo game is just a fight, and a fight, the players are only going to learn all the conflict rules and nothing else.
Right.
So you definitely want to put in some challenge sequences or an interaction where the characters are gonna dig into the interaction rules, and some other sort of look at the way the mechanics fit together, and the way different scenes and different adventures fit together, and provide some variety so the players can learn all the different things they can do. Learn that the game is not just an endless series of super fights.
While gratifying.
There's a lot of game psychology there where you don't want to train them to approach everything like a fight.
As a fight.
Well, I have a question for King Snarf's question. I'm reading in chat, and now here's a question. The Freedom City Earth Prime has gotten very complex. How would you recommend easing new players into the setting? And I'm wondering how we're defining complex in this context. But Steve, what do you?
I wouldn't. King Snarf can elaborate on that, but my assumption is that we're talking about the amount of lore in the setting that we've described a lot. There are hundreds and hundreds of pages of setting material between Freedom City and Emerald City and Atlas of Earth Prime and the other source books. My advice is to start small. Pick a corner of the setting where you want to operate, whether it's Freedom City or Emerald City or your city of your own choice or what have you. Focus on that area, and don't worry about the rest of the world to start off with. You could tell the players to start that this is a very comic book superhero world, and there are all kinds of superheroes and villains all over the place. But you don't have to worry about that right now. You're here in this city, in this area, and if you're talking about stuff that's common knowledge, honestly, that's just things that you as the GM can fill in when you provide people with descriptions of things. So when when Aegis shows up, you can say, you can see agents from this government organization who to be Aegis, and this is what they do. And just give them the very brief, this is who they are and this is what they do. They're like S.H.I.E.L.D. And most of the players are going to be like, oh, okay. And you just go from there.
Yeah.
Never be afraid of an editorial thought bubble that is like, for more information about this, see blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Right. I also think too that the way that people remember these deep stories is by experiencing them or having some being somehow adjacent to them in the context of playing like that really gives people the stuff. I mean, it's oftentimes a kind of a challenge when you get five people together who have
Hmm.
all kind of read the material and they have their own take on it, and they
Yeah.
kind of get together and then there's
Mhm.
like five, really honestly, five different stories about a particular thing that happened that was, that has a whole kind of rundown. So yeah, that's interesting. Good points.
Yeah,
Yep.
Um,
and I would always remember to put your players front and center. So if there's something that
Yes.
contradicts their character in canon, throw that stuff out,
Take it
or
out.
find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, find a way to make it they're that niche now instead of the existing character.
Yeah.
See, I
Indeed.
love that. Now, friends, you've gotten the permission to be
Yeah.
the story.
It's your setting. Do whatever you want with it. Paul points out that the visitors' guides from the setting books are great summaries, which is exactly what they're intended to be. That you can basically show players, hey, this is a quick summary of what this city is like.
Love that. Let's see. I'm looking here. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? That's very true. Unlike fantasy adventures, heroes have other expectations. Beating up enemies is one part, but there's rescuing civilians, investigating crimes, protecting the environment. Lots of variety. Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah,
indeed.
and I think it's incumbent on the GM to make sure that we're doing that. Because if someone's introduced to Mutants and Masterminds through the lens of it's only combat, then that's how they're gonna play it.
Yep,
Yeah.
indeed.
Let's see. Other folks
And there
here.
are people who will want that. There are some events that
Yes.
are suited for that, but that's a conversation to have with your players.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Hey, Paul, you bring up a good point, or an interesting resource that is a story way of kind of bringing the setting, to kind of to life, if you will. But it's the visitors' guides in the front of each setting book do a great job of introducing a setting to the player. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that onboarding piece, right?
Yep.
That's kind of
Absolutely.
designed for that. I love that.
Absolutely.
Uh, my first M&M city was Sparrow City, Maryland.
Nice. Yeah,
Love
and
it.
people should absolutely create their own settings. And one of the great things about superhero games, generally speaking, is they're usually set in some version of the modern day world. So it's just the world except there are superheroes and supervillains. So
Yeah,
unless you're going to great lengths to create a fictional place, um, you can rely a lot on the fact that your players know what the world looks like. Unlike
yeah.
a completely imaginary fantasy world where you may have to be describing a lot.
Right.
You could do a lot of shorthand with the real world.
Now, David Bullock mentions, I always expect someone to summon a giant squid, and I think it's our
Hmm.
contention that be the squid that you want to see in the
It's
world.
a right. It's a reasonable assumption. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
it
It is.
does
Yeah.
happen.
Let's see here. Reading some stuff, introducing
I
character
think
players, like then putting those people in danger is the best. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would like to offer a counterpoint, Badass Rockets. Introduce characters they don't like and then keep
And,
kidnapping them.
right.
Right. Very interesting because that does sort of force them into the I don't like this person, but because life is nuanced, right? There are
Yep.
layers and things you've got to contend with.
Mhm.
That's great. And if
Yep.
it's
I
Daedalus,
guess I have to
some
rescue
people are like,
Daedalus.
yeah, right. Okay. I love it. Bob Shaw says the giant squid was stupid. There, I said it. Yes. Um, yeah, I like this a lot. The conversation is great. I really am, and I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but I will. I'd love for the GMs or GMs to be people who are thinking about ways that to introduce someone new or someone new-ish, or maybe reintroduce people who have been here before. And
Hmm.
I think
Mhm.
all of that in the context of what's your flow? How
Yeah.
how do you do that from step one to you know
Yeah.
to 89? Yeah.
And
Um,
I will say that throughout the history of tabletop RPGs, the most common way people learn is by playing, is by finding a group, whether it's at a convention, whether it's at a store, wherever it is, whether it's getting invited by a friend, is finding a group and just sitting down and trying it out. The although we have a lot more media and tools for giving people examples, that really hasn't changed much about TTRPGs. People learn by doing, and so I really, really encourage folks who know and love Mutants and Masterminds to uh, teach people how to play. Go to your conventions, go to your local game store if they have gameplay areas, and offer somebody a game. It might be their introduction to their new favorite game.
Absolutely. I love that. That was fantastic, Steve. I think, and it really just captures sort of what we're here to do, and that's enjoy playing games with more people. Yeah, I dig that. All right, we've got a big debate going on about the giant squid.
As always,
there's some Watchmen discourse going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, where there are giant squids, there soon will be the Watchmen. I mean,
exactly, famously. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we are running out of time, and like all things Mutants and Masterminds, this conversation isn't over. It's just evolving, and we'll see kind of further examples of that on the think tank here shortly. I'm hoping. Let's get that stuff together. I'm going to hound some people to do that because I'd love to see it, and also we love to give prizes away. So do that.
Right.
Well, why don't we do this?
Everybody in chat gets 2 PowerPoints for their next M&M character for free.
Nice. See, that's nice. There you go.
You heard it here, folks.
That's right.
I said it was all right.
I love this concept of Alex, like you setting up bombs for the GMs to deal with when people go to play their games. Well, Alex told me
Alex said.
Wait, Jonesy's here. I've done this to myself.
I love it.
See, GMs, it's fine.
Yeah, see, it's all good. It's all good. Okay, well, let's do this. Hey, Steve, what have you been working on? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, the big, speaking of introducing new people to M&M, the big exciting news that I have mentioned or hinted at a couple of times is that through the Atomic Think Tank, we are going to be starting up an opportunity for members of the Cape and Cowl Club on Atomic Think Tank to start doing playtesting for forthcoming M&M product. We are going to get a chance for you to get a behind-the-scenes look at what we're working on, to get a chance to take it for a test drive, basically, see how it works, kick the tires, and tell us, your feedback, so that we can make sure that it is that much better a product when we finally, let it out loose in the wild. So if you are in Cape and Cowl Club, be on the lookout for more on that in that space on Atomic Think Tank. If you're not a member of Cape and Cowl Club, maybe something you might want to think about in terms of this playtest opportunity is in addition to all the other value that you already get for your subscription to the Cape and Cowl Club, which is only $8 a month. And if you pay up front, you basically get for a year, you basically get 2 months free. I think actually with the way Troy's discount works, it may even be more than 2 months.
That's right. Yeah. Well, the way I've set it up is that you will get, when you sign up, you're going to get the first month free to check it out and see all the stuff that comes down the pike. That special is ending here very soon. So when you hear this, go do this. Head on over to the Atomic Think Tank and sign up.
You don't want to miss this play test because it's already some of the best M&M ever.
Yeah, we're really excited for you guys to get to check out what's coming. So, if you want that opportunity, we're definitely offering it. It's been a long time since we've had a great online home for Mutants and Masterminds like Atomic Think Tank, and so we really want to take full advantage of it now that we have such a great online community through M&M Monday and Atomic Think Tank. It's a terrific opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Don't want to miss it. So fantastic. Well, that's exciting stuff. And I'll say just looking at the systems and the processes that we've got in place for this upcoming endeavor, people are going to be very excited about sort of what that looks like. And I think Paul, my good buddy Paul, who suffers from the same thing I do, can he just get on a calendar so I can know what day it is? Like,
Right.
Your prayers have been answered, but we're really at the outset putting that structure together.
Yes.
Is it? It's not. Is it today? It's not today, is it?
It's today.
It's today. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Go sign up immediately.
Yeah. You want to do that
Very
right
soon.
away. We are no hyperbole, friends. Get in there.
We are
Get
ready
in the
to go.
game.
So
Yeah. Fantastic. Awesome. See, that's exciting stuff. People will no doubt be just hanging around the Cape and Cowl Club, like skulking villains in the shadows, waiting to get information about where they what's next. So fantastic. Alex, what's going on with you?
Oh, stuff.
Nice.
Things.
right.
I've got Freedomly Dark in the Multiverse of the Master Mage on Wednesday. We're going to be finishing up our time at the Willamette Parkview Mall, fighting a bunch of zombies and Sophie and Eldritch's evil schemes. And there's an actual play this weekend.
Nice.
Yay! Yeah, our apologies. We bumped that all around. Its schedules are just crazy and all that stuff. And good that we bumped it. It'll be fun, and then I'll be able to play. But the other thing I was going to add is, I'll be back from right now. I'm in Vegas at a family wedding, and of course, my trying to increase my empire of gravies, and so we'll be opening one up on the Strip here in Las Vegas. Which I'm imagining will just bring me untold riches.
Yes, it can't possibly fail.
No, why would it? I mean, gravies is like 3 gravies. That's awesome. Right. So that'll be a lot of fun. Hey, Alex, when people want to go do that, Alex was like, gravy dips.
Alex, all the gravy is like, nope, I'm out.
That camera angle.
You put gravy gremlins in my computer, Troy.
They love gravy. What can I say?
Right.
But the other thing is that one camera angle. That's like your Riz camera. Like kind of flash to the side view. I love it. This cracks me up. But Alex, you for Untold Stories Project, they can go to untoldstoriesproject.com and kind of get the latest.
Yeah, or twitch.tv/Untold Stories Project. Rebel Moose, that is a Dead Rising reference.
Love it.
I've had a ton of fun playing with the mechanics of that. Moose. Every time they die, they wake up at the urinal they used last. It's great. Because that's how it works in the game. That's where the save points are in that game.
Oh, I love that. Okay, gotcha. I mean, I don't know how much I love it, but I get it. Right. I get it. Yeah. All right, my friends. Anything else for the good of the order? Don't everyone run away, because we're going to bring Devious here. We're going to talk about what's in the tank. But as it stands, anything else that we want to make sure people know about?
I think that's all the news that's news right now.
Beautiful. Also, hey, Alex, just a quick clarification. Are we going to run the actual play and then do the Joys of Game Mastering the next week, or how are you slicing that up?
We'll be playing on Saturday and then Joy of Game Mastering on Sunday.
Beautiful. Okay.
I just want to be sure. M&M weekend.
Yeah, always is. All right, fantastic. Well, good deal, gentlemen. Thank you for hanging out with this crew of folks. The chat, of course, as lively as ever. Thank you as well. And hang on. Don't leave chat. And we're going to let Steve and Alex run. And then Devious will be here after that.
Have a good one,
everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Boy, well, look, friends, it's already February. What is it today? What is today?
It's the 3rd.
The 3rd. Thanks, Mom. Mom says it's the 3rd, and so does Alex. Neither one of them are supposed to be on this program right now, but they remain. But of course, they're always welcome. I want to also remind folks that we have got something. What's this? Is it this? Oh, no, that's not it, but that is going to come out. Yeah, it's JOG. It's Joy of Game Mastering. Sundays, 2 p.m. Pacific. Hang out with Alex and get into the meta of it. Nerd out about some stuff. But for now, why don't we say hello to a friend of the show, a partner in crime, I'm trying to vamp as I find his camera, It's Devious. Hi, buddy.
Hi, everyone. How goes it?
It goes. It goes.
You having a good time?
Surprisingly,
Oop, sorry.
yeah. Oh, no, I was just going to say surprisingly lucrative negotiations around gravies.
Well, what more can you want that more gravy?
I know, right? And so we'll see. We'll see how that all pans out. But I have invested mine and my family's entire life savings in this. So yeah, certainly not to fail. Yeah.
I think that's very financially wise because
Yeah.
if you have a big bowl of gravy, what do you want on top of it?
Gravy.
More gravy, of course.
Yeah. And when you've got more gravy, what do you want? More gravy. That's why I call it gravies.
More gravy. That's right.
That's right. Well, hey, my friend, it is a segment that we both love and know and why we created it together. It's What's in the Tank.
That's right. What is in the tank? I will be more than happy to disclose this information to you, good sir.
That's right.
Well,
fantastic.
first of all, I'm going to go ahead and show what is in the tank February 3rd. We have number of new articles in the Freedom City Library. I did a hot take on concealment and basically, a couple of house rules that I use in my game. What is something you wish you started doing earlier in your role play as a game master in M&M? Getting started. What did you wish you knew? What would you have done differently? Got a GM challenge for a plot hook challenge. The floating junkyard, a mysterious mile-wide ball of metal wreckage has appeared in the sky. Why?
Oh.
Where does it come from? There are two what I like to call Grand Theft articles, because what I like to do is I like to listen to YouTube videos on D&D and other games and things like that and bring it over to Mutants Mastermind. A lot of
I
it
like
is
that.
system agnostic, of course, but basically what I'll do is I'll listen to it, take notes, and then try to give my own thoughts. One is how to reignite player interest in a superhero RPG, and that's by RPG PhD. There's a link for the video right in the article, and also 10 things your GM wishes you did in Mutants and Masterminds, taken from a article by DM Timothy, also on YouTube. You can adapt a lot of the stuff that you find there on YouTube from some wonderful contributors like Bonus Action, Astral Marmot, Jenny D. Just the list goes on of some wonderful YouTubers there, and they primarily are oriented towards, that other game. But a lot
Did you
of it
see my
can be-
reference in today's show notes?
Oh no, I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No. It was. I slipped these little. They're not really a secret. They're pretty much hitting people over the head with a hammer. But yeah, let me know if you pick up on it when you read it. But I was going to say something real quick, and that is that Devious, you might be a little quiet.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, and I don't have the same robust controls over the phone that I do when I'm at the command central. So if you want to maybe bump up your volume add a dot or two.
Is this better?
You sound great to me, so it's hard for me to gauge. But yeah, while you're doing that, David Bullock, interestingly enough, I did not think about sausage gravy in a chocolate fountain. I think that could be a real centerpiece to the whole gravy experience. Like maybe it's like bring in something you'd like to gravy.
Absolutely fabulous.
How's he sound now, friends?
And we can all have like champagne glasses so that we can just surround the fountain and partake.
I love it. And I want more of it. Hey, the other thing I was going to mention.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Nutsi says much better. All right. And from the start. No, just kidding. But I do want to also say that what you bring up as far as an exercise of checking into other TTRPG folks is that it does sort of speak to the universal nature of the craft, and that there's something to be offered or something to be learned when you kind of unpack and interrogate what you do versus what other people might do. And you may come out the other side going, I don't really care for that. But the exposure and to have asked the question makes the answer just so much better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Agreed. Excellent. Thank you, King Snarf.
I've got also Big Nate has a number of articles in there, and they're the featured articles we're going to go into a little bit different. I do have a little thing in there in Ask Devious that basically somebody asked me a question and I figured it might be a good idea to give the answer to everybody. So I shared that. But Big Nate, look at these articles that Big Nate has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 articles on the Fae. Can you tell that the man likes the Fae?
So I talked to him about this, and he mentioned this has been a labor of love and something that he's worked on for years, and this has given him the opportunity to kind of put all those pieces together and to express them sort of in the context of an adventure through like memes and masterminds, which I think is
Yeah,
just brilliant, and they're great to
fabulous.
read. They're a lot of fun and just a perfect example of the kinds of things that you can publish to the tank.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you have a hankering to tell people how you run Mutants and Masterminds, what house rules you use, or just some general tips, get in the tank. We'd love to know. Let us know what you think or feel about Mutants and Masterminds. What can you do to help contribute to the Freedom City Library? But lurkers, always welcome. If you just want to read that information, we love you. Bring it.
Yeah, and that's been a rule from the outset. From the very beginning for me, it was very important that we establish a space that people you don't have to be the center of attention, or maybe you just want to write up an article. I mean, we do reward people who are engaging in that way. It's an easier way for us to recognize. And even if you just pop out of the shadows once in a while to say thank you for this, or by your cheer, we know that you're there. That's fine. That's perfect. That's that is the most that we should expect and hope for. And then maybe later you do something or not. But yeah, lurkers are certainly welcome. It's sort of like it's not like we run through the community and say who wasn't at the library, like who who wasn't taking center stage at the local public library. Like, no, this is meant to be a place to be inspired and to learn some stuff, and also like to challenge a notion or two and to say, hey, I don't know if I really see it that way, or my experience has been different. And that's not conflict. That is an opportunity to interrogate ideas as we know them and to maybe even grow a little bit. And but you can do much of that without having to grab the mic, and you can do as much as you are comfortable doing.
Absolutely. And another thing, if you want just a more casual experience, you can always drop into the M&M Commons chat. There are people there who have been playing Mutants Masterminds for years. If you have
Yeah.
questions about the system, have things that you want to, know more about, just get in the tank, get in the chat. Mutants
Hey, you know what
Masterminds
else?
chat is a great place for that.
Hey, DV, you know what else? Friendly.
Oh
Everyone's
yeah.
super friendly. It's just meant to be an engaging, fun kind of space. There's just not. We just don't have a lot of time to waste on expressions of rage because that's not what this is about. Uh, there's
Yep.
plenty of space on the internet reserved just for that purpose. So we'll let them.
Absolutely.
We'll let the experts handle the rage, and we'll do the fun stuff.
Absolutely. I'll stick to the fun stuff any day. In the Aegis files, these are stat blocks that people put in here. They're wonderful contributions from folks like Steinbrewer, Matt Maybray, Jack Kellum. Paul Rua's stuff is in
Titans of the
there.
tank.
That's right. Titans of the Tank indeed. Steinbrewer, Matt Maybray, Chris Davies, all of them. Fantastic contributions. If you need, hey, I need an idea for a supervillain, or I need an idea for an NPC to bring in here, get in the tank, get in the Aegis files. They're there for you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Do we have I say my right. Everybody does. Which is a little bit of the problem. But other things in the tank for folks to are
Other
you there?
things in the tank? Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh
Other
no,
things that,
I'm sorry. I was go ahead, please.
no, I was just going to say, all this is free, 100% free. It doesn't cost you a single dime, not
If
one
you're going into
single
an
stinking
advertisement for the Cape
penny.
and Cowl, I'm gonna
That is exactly what I'm getting ready to do,
yeah, that's
because
my job. I'm gonna wrap on that, but
go for it, because I just wanted to talk about what a great deal it is for folks.
well, yeah,
There's
and so
so many
honestly,
benefits.
jokes aside, I just wanted to ask you. You kind of, we've talked about this in the past, but your
Mhm.
experience with some of the things that we've got cooking. You are a participant in the workshop.
The workshop, absolutely. I am so excited to be a contributing member to the Pinewood Project workshop. It is basically an opportunity for you If you want it and you're in the Cape and Cow Club, you can get in and talk with Alex. You can get in and talk with Steve about their professional experience. It's an opportunity to basically build a Mutants and Masterminds source book from the ground up. They are giving great, fantastic pointers, wonderful advice on writing in the industry and how to craft, something for output to, Mutants and Masterminds World. Or, of course, you can always do Super Powered by Eminem and make your own projects. And this
That's
is a
right. Yeah. Well,
great,
I want to say
great
to you, so
opportunity.
one of the things that I want to get into just a little bit as part of this discussion is, your what are some of the things that you've learned as a result? Because I also want to say this. We don't know what the end result of the workshop will be, except for a lot of people understanding in a deeper way how TTRPGs are developed. And that's the promise. All the other stuff, who knows what may come of it? Maybe it becomes its own line or whatever. I doubt it. But the value here is the coming through the other side of that, having learned a little bit of the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, and I just was hoping maybe you could share a couple things that I will say that you enjoy the most about kind of the activities.
Oh, basically just talking. Okay, there's a few vital lessons I learned in writing, like avoiding using the word that. That pops up
That's
everywhere in my writing, and I go back and I'm like, wow, that is really for the a good part of the times that I use the word, it, completely superfluous. It doesn't need to be used in almost any instant. It can be avoided. It's a fluff word. I that from just the writing perspective, from the content perspective, NPCs, you don't ever want an NPC to take center stage. You don't ever want an NPC to be the person that saves the day. That's the hero's job. That's the
yeah,
player's job, not anybody else. So don't write an NPC that is, going to be the one to save the day. Again,
yeah, yeah,
that's not their job. They're there to either, I think it was support, oppose, or be a mystery. I think there was like one other thing, if they've got to serve one of those four key purposes. I think I forgot what the fourth one was, but well, I'm sure if you were to join the Pinewood Project, you'd learn all about that.
Well, that's true. And here's what it really boils down to is it's an opportunity to get some firsthand experience from people who are arguably they're luminaries in the space. They have kind of charted uncharted territory from the ground up
Mhm.
and across many marquee projects, some outside of Gray Ronin's publishing library. And so it's an unprecedented kind of thing to do. And the reality is that that's just one of several things that happen. And with several more to come. The idea is for $8 a month, you get access to this stuff, and you get the opportunity to engage with the developer in ways that are kind of unprecedented. It is. It's really like when we say workshop, it's work, and it's really interesting to see. I will say my as kind of the architect of the space and looking at how people are engaging. One of my favorite things is to see the creative collaboration that goes on. It's just really fun, and it sort of highlights the best qualities of our community and the members of the Cape and Cowl and the stuff that they do. We've got phenomenal writers. As many times as you may use the word that. Your work is really fun to see, especially in different contexts. I also think that it's a great opportunity for people who aren't necessarily inclined to share their work like that and haven't had an opportunity to get an affirmation that yeah, it's good stuff, like this is your work is great, and these are the ways that I would improve on its greatness. That is I think a real boost. I think that people are often hypercritical beyond the scope of what is necessary or even actionable when it comes to sort of where your skills lie in comparison to whatever. And this is a great opportunity to really test your mettle. And it's not designed to be sort of a course in shaming. It's meant to
No,
be
no, no, no.
about
I mean,
capacity, and it's
I,
about to really give people an exposure to how to get something to market.
and on that note, I mean, I do suggest if you come humble, you will learn. If you come in going, like I am here to learn from them, they have given such fantastic input and discussions on what there is to know about writing. But I think there's a lot of great things, a slew of benefits to Cape and Cow Club, even if you don't want to write. I mean, there's free Mutants and Masterminds publications they periodically give us. I mean, we kind of got the
You got
early bird
Chrono Crisis.
special
Yeah.
on Chrono Crisis 3, the part 2 as well. Also, there's free stats. There's the Eminem mix up, where basically we challenge them to like a place and some characters, and then they make we pick either one from a poll, and then they make an adventure from that. I think that's
right. Yeah, you're the bones of one. And here's the deal. And we realize that it's, we wouldn't really consider that free because you're paying for it. You're paying for that as part of the experience, but it is inexpensive for a lot of great content, and more great content to come. So we've done the infomercial for the Cape and Cow. There's real good stuff coming. I want everybody to truly, if you've been waiting, get in there. I mean it. It'll be worth your while.
And not to mention the forthcoming actual plays that will be done through the Cape and Cow Club as well. Just another huge bonus right there.
Yeah, so if you look at the inner ring of our February schedule, you will see some of the red named activities. Those are some of the things that go on there, but that also just doesn't quite capture all of the depth and breadth of stuff. So you can be as engaged as you like. You can dive right in with a lot of stuff. You can siphon off all the good stuff and play around with that, and change it into the context of your gameplay around your table. That's really what the whole point is. And you can come in and really, establish some systems and processes of your own. Ask some questions. Do some things that kind of help flesh out the club. It's really as a club. Okay. So with that being said, go ahead.
There's yet even more news though, that we have a contest going on right now for the Mumamo Challenge.
What is that?
The Fae and Fabulous Fae Touch Challenge.
Oh, right. What's going on with that?
Well, basically with the Fae, there's 1 week left. We only have one entrant in the Agents Files, and it's a fantastic entry by Matt Mabray. God bless him. He did a very, very awesome homage to Etrigan from DC Comics. Etrigan is a demon that's infused, kind of bonded to a human that trades places, and they're two different people. Well, he has the Winter Queen for his challenge, but the challenge itself, do you have a Fae touched hero, someone with a Fae lineage, hero, villain, or race? You want to make your mark in the Aegis Files? Bring it. The deadline is February 9th. I need it in by February 9th at 5 p.m., where we'll select from all the entries. Craft your concept, either a Fae-touched individual, hero, villain, neutral party, or an entire Fae race. They can be natives of Earth Prime or travelers from the Fae realm. Backstory and identity, detail their origin, personality, etc., give them Fae abilities. But
they could have brushed against the Fae momentarily, in the subway, and now you got Subway Fae, and go and run with it. It's
could be
very simply put.
It could be a mortal who has Oberon's crown. It could be something tied in the Fae, but you must put your entry in the Aegis Files. It has to have the hashtag Fae touched and Mumamo
so you
Challenge.
Find it.
Mumamo Challenge. That's right. If you don't put Fae touched, I can't find it to give you the prize.
There's so much going on in the tank. Yes. What's the prize?
Well, the prize is, of course, the fabulous, the prestigious, the gorgeous, and just, well, I just don't know what else to say about it. The fabulous Green Ronini. You get a free PDF of your choice from the Green Ronin store. And of course, the Sealy Court, will let you in, and you'll have court honors there. It'll be nice.
Well, not only that, but you can get the very first gift certificate for all you can eat gravies here in Las Vegas.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first.
Coming soon. Yes.
Coming soon.
Well, Devious, I want to thank you so much for sharing all of this stuff. We don't need to do that. We've got all those things are covered. Let's talk about what's in the tank, and we can. Beautiful. I love it. But thank you, friend. You are brilliant. I love the work that you do, the support you give to the community, and all that good stuff. It is worth its weight in gold. I love it truly, and absolutely love and adore you as well. So thank you for all your hard work. Thanks for the folks in chat that hang out and give us the business for this part of Mutants Masterminds Monday. And I think with that, we might be done. Anything else?
I'm done.
All righty. Goodbye. Bye.